Bonjour, chers observateurs, and welcome back to the episode breakdown. This week, we're covering episode 51. Now, like many times in the past, I'm taking some time to cover a pre-breakdown topic. What's up for discussion today, you ask? Well, we're going to talk about Son Goku, or more appropriately, the way I pronounce Son Goku. There's been a lot of heated conversation about how I pronounce his name. Listen, I don't care how you want to pronounce Goku. If you prefer Goku, fine. If you prefer your Frieza with an I, fine. If you think Bulma's last name is Brief, even though that's a dubism and the only person in the series named Brief is Dr. Brief and Bulma only has a singular name in the manga and the original Japanese version, well, I'll argue that point, but I won't hold it against you. But I grew up with the Japanese version of the series. It's why you don't hear much Bruce Faulkner in the score, why we try to use Japanese names of attacks and characters, why we use the Japanese score instead. I grew up hearing Son Goku. By the way, fun fact, Son is actually Goku's surname. It's the Japanese tradition of saying the surname first. So, ultimately, I'm going to keep saying Goku. If you don't like that, well, that's not my problem. Find something more important to be upset about and move on with your lives. Just be happy I'm not saying Krillin, though that is actually how I spell it. Alright, glad we could clear that up. Now, let's get into the reason why you're here, yeah? We start with Bulma here. I needed a long, open-mouth shot as she lifts Trunks. Unfortunately, she's talking during this animation, so I pulled the open-mouth flap into Photoshop, then did some masking and moved it with her head. These flaps for Gohan here are newly drawn by Kerbifer, as are these for Veggie, these flaps and expression here, his flaps here, Tenshinhan's flaps and expression here, Vegeta's mouth here, Piccolo's mouth here, Android 16's flaps here and here, Krillin's flaps here, Cell's flaps here, Vegeta's here and Cell's flaps here and here. I drew some new flaps on Trunks here, and had to do some modifications to Cell here as he does not originally talk in this shot. And that's that for lip flaps. Relatively simple this time around. I mean, besides all the newly acquired art assets. Thanks, Gerb! Now, let's get straight into visual edits. The first real visual edit you see is for the musical sequence here. Moscow actually put together this little sing-along graphic, and this little eye squint on Goku here was drawn by Mark Swint. The next shot is Piccolo and Tenshinhan here. I needed them switched to keep consistency as well as Popo removed from the shot, so I did. I added a small filter over these shots of 18 to help give it a bit more oomph. With this shot of Krillin, I took another shot of Krillin squinting his eyes and put them here to help better transition the scene. Now, keeping on track with changing Krillin's expressions, we also have this shot here, 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 and here. All redrawn by, you guessed it, Kerbifer, as well as this shot of Tenshinhan. Here we have this shot of Tenshinhan that zooms around him as he kneels over, realizing what has just transpired. In the original, well, this is the background, so I needed to replace it with the sky in the lookout. I also had to move the sky to give the sense of motion. To do so, I rotobrushed Tenshinhan out of the original shot, then took the shot of the sky I needed and moved it in time with Tenshinhan. I also had to rotobrush him for these shots. See this shot of Cell's eyes moving? They originally only move over once before Cell turns his whole head, but I thought the dialogue would work better with a double take. So I reversed it once and played it again. Speaking of reversing, had to flip this bitch to keep continuity with the scene here, which required Krillin's Kame Sennin symbol to be moved over. Now for the real bitch. See the shot of Krillin running off screen? Yeah, in the original, it doesn't show him actually leaving the shot. I needed him out of the frame before I could continue the dialogue from Android 16, so what I did was, I took these frames of him running here, roto-brushed them, pasted them here, and used those in place. That's far from the only complicated Krillin shot in the episode though. See this shot of Krillin jumping towards Cell? This is how it looks in the original. This is how the shot of Cell hitting him with his tail looks in the original. You can see the discrepancies, obviously. As such, I had to, surprise, rotobrush this shot of Krillin jumping Cell over this shot of Cell swinging his tail. Taking a look at it up close, it's a little less than perfect, but it works for what I needed. Oh hey, it's the cock. Welcome back, cock. Okay, so the The solar flare image is, it's a little really suggestive. We tried not to make it overtly sexual and just disturbing. Implications more than anything. Finally, we have the eye catch. Whew, this was a doozy. The explosion of her head was created using the shatter tool, while the explosion proper was a stock explosion I got from Action Essentials. I also made her eyes glow by using the brightness and blur filters and adjusted the opacity as necessary. The background was made by cutting her head out and using the fill tool in Photoshop. The jagged neck stump was created using a rough brush and the smudge tool. The smoke is more stock footage from Action Essentials, and it's a little bit hard to see, but there's a metal spinal cord at the base of the neck. Dunzo! A lot of fun this time around, to be sure. As you can see, we're using a lot more art assets to help things work more cohesively. Now, with those out of the way, let's finish her off with fun facts! This opening bit was not originally going to be part of the episode. I initially commissioned Cliff Eintunes Weinstein for the instrumental cover as a side video, as I thought it would be a cute little parody idea. I ended up talking to Lanny and Taka about it though, and we came to the conclusion that it was a simple, effective way to present their training as well as make things more interesting. The whole bit with Ten Shinhan and Piccolo betting was originally going to be in episode 50, but we held off as we felt like it was cutting too much into the meat of things and had no immediate payoff. Here, in this episode, it's presented and resolved neatly as the plot progresses. Also, anyone know where the music in this scene is from? Much like the opening bit, it's a small reference to Steven Universe. More importantly, it's the theme of Lapis Lazuli. Now, this is relevant because Android 18's real name is Lazuli, as according to Akira Toriyama in an interview in Dragon Ball Full Color Artificial Humans and Cell Arc Volume number 6. Musical references like these are some of my favorite to make, because they can be effective all on their own even without knowing the reference. There is a director's cut version of this episode that exists. It has a certain scene with Goku and Gohan, one with a certain transformation in it. It'll be in episode 52. It's fully edited. Just you wait for it. This ending song was composed by Eintunes. I came up with the overall melody, and Kieran Lord Moonstone Summerlade helped write the lyrics. Some people thought it was a reference to Weekly Tube Show, but that was actually unintentional. I just loved the idea of Cell introducing himself through song. I want him to be a very unique character. And speaking of Cell, did you know I was originally cast for all 3 roles?
Yes, I was going to play a perfect Cell.
Then I would have transformed into his big-lipped evolution.
And finally, I would have rounded out the perfect being. However, being cast as Trunks ultimately edged that out, and Taka's interpretation was just too much fun to pass up. But I think it's an interesting what if. Lastly, I want to try and use deleted scenes as eye catches more from now on, should they exist. Really, they're perfect for it, and we usually have some joke we have to cut. Ah, le fin! We've wrapped up another episode breakdown. Thank you all for joining me again as I covered one of my favorite episodes of the season. If you're looking to give us some support, please remember that we have a Patreon that helps keep things running smoothly, and we've got Let's Plays that help pay the bills and are reasonably funny if I may be so bold. You can also check out our shirts at sharkrobot.com. We have a ton of new designs, including a Bitch I'm Adorable shirt. That's enough of my plugging. I've got episode 52 to work on. Merci et bonne nuit.